If you're living on $1,200 a month and calling it normal, you've already been sedated. This is the trap. Not poverty, not hunger, comfort. A padded cell with Wi-Fi, a cage lined with discounts, subscriptions, and just enough pleasure to keep you docile. You think you're surviving. Reality says you're being contained. The $1,200 lifestyle isn't an accident. It's an engineered minimum. A number calculated to keep your body alive, your mind distracted, and your ambition anesthetized. Rent that barely fits, food that fills but never fuels, entertainment that numbs but never elevates. You're not broke because you're unlucky. You're broke because the system found the cheapest version of you it could sustain, and you accepted it. Here's the part nobody says out loud. The world does not reward effort. It rewards leverage. It does not care how tired you are, how busy you feel, how much you hustle inside a box someone else built. Reality is cold, mathematical. It measures output, not intention. You can sweat all day on a treadmill and still go nowhere. Motion without direction is just exhaustion. The $1,200 lifestyle trains you to confuse motion with progress. You wake up early, you commute, you grind, you collapse, you repeat, and at the end of the month, after all that movement, you're exactly where you started. That's not a flaw in you. That's the design of the maze. Hamsters don't starve, they just never escape. Understand this. The real danger isn't being poor. The real danger is being stable at the wrong altitude. When your expenses are low enough to survive but high enough to scare you, you become obedient. You won't risk losing the little you have. You won't gamble on yourself. You won't think in decades. You think in bill cycles, weeks, paydays. That's how vision dies slowly, quietly, wrapped in routine. Zoom out. Imagine war. Not the movie version. The real thing. Logistics, supply lines, territory. In war, no general celebrates holding a trench forever. Trenches are temporary. They're positions to launch from, not places to live. But the $1,200 lifestyle convinces you the trench is home. It tells you survival is victory. It isn't. Survival is neutral. Conquest is the objective. Every month you stay trapped at that number, you're defending instead of advancing. You're reacting instead of dictating. Bills dictate your moves. Prices dictate your moves. Prices dictate your diet. Employers dictate your time. You think you're making choices. You're selecting from a menu someone else printed. This is chess, not checkers, and you're playing pawn psychology. The pawn moves one square at a time. Predictable. Expendable. It exists to be traded. The board is full of pawns who think they're players because they get to move it all. But the king, the queen, the pieces that decide the game, they don't think in squares. They think in outcomes, sacrifices, control. The $1,200 lifestyle keeps you thinking like a pawn. One bill, one paycheck, one small win. It shrinks your time horizon until your dreams can't breathe. You stop asking, how do I dominate? And start asking, how do I manage? Management is not power. Management is maintenance. And maintenance never built an empire. Here's the brutal truth. If your lifestyle costs at $1,200, your mind is capped at $1,200. Your mind is capped at $1,200. Because your environment shapes your identity, cheap surroundings create cheap expectations. When everything around you is optimized for affordability, you internalize scarcity. You start to believe that wanting more is reckless, arrogant, unrealistic. That's psychological warfare. Look at biology. Evolution doesn't reward the species that gets comfortable in a fragile niche. It rewards the organism that adapts aggressively, expands territory, and dominates resources. Comfort zones go extinct. Expansion survives. Nature is ruthless about this. Reality doesn't negotiate. Yet you're told to be grateful. Grateful for what? For a ceiling? Gratitude without ambition is surrender. Gratitude with ambition is fuel. Most people are taught the first kind because it makes them easier to control. The $1,200 lifestyle is a training ground for insignificance. It teaches you to celebrate smallness, to romanticize struggle while avoiding risk, to wear simple living as a virtue when it's really a coping mechanism. Minimalism sounds noble until you realize it's often just resignation dressed up as philosophy. Ask yourself this coldly. Honestly, If you suddenly doubled your income tomorrow, would your life structure even allow it? Or would it collapse under the weight of your current habits? Most people aren't underpaid, they're underbuilt. Their routines, their thinking, their tolerance for pressure, all calibrated for small numbers. Big money is heavy. It demands strength. This is where the internal command comes in. Not motivation, orders. You must issue a new directive to your own mind. This level is unacceptable. Not because it's hard, but because it's limiting. Because it caps your influence. Because it keeps you reacting instead of commanding. You don't escape the $1,200 lifestyle by saving harder. That's peasant logic. You escape it by becoming dangerous in the marketplace, by developing skills that scale, by creating leverage that detaches income from hours. Time is the most expensive currency and you're trading it like it's cheap. That's the insanity. High-value individuals don't ask, how do I cut costs? They ask, how do I increase output? Cost cutting is defensive. Output expansion is offensive. And offense is how territory is taken. Think like a general again. If your army is starving, you don't tell soldiers to eat less. You secure supply lines. You capture resources. You change the battlefield. Only a weak commander obsesses over rationing forever. The $1,200 lifestyle keeps you in rationing mode. Counting pennies, chasing discounts, measuring life in what you can afford. That mental posture leaks into everything: relationships, confidence, posture, decisions. You start moving like someone who's asking permission. Permission is for subordinates. The shift is internal before it's external. You must break the emotional attachment to just enough money, just enough comfort, just enough hope that next month will be easier. Hope is a sedative when it isn't paired with action. Action, real action, feels violent to the old version of you. It disrupts routines. It threatens stability. It introduces chaos. And chaos is where weak identities panic and strong identities are forged. This is not about working more. It's about thinking at a higher resolution, seeing patterns others miss, understanding incentives, exploiting inefficiencies. While everyone else is fighting over wages, you're positioning for ownership. While they're negotiating hours, you're negotiating hours. You're negotiating outcomes. The $1,200 lifestyle teaches you to sell time. The elite sell solutions. And here's the part that stings. As long as you stay trapped there, you will defend it. You'll mock ambition. You'll criticize risk takers. You'll say things like, money isn't everything, while secretly measuring your life by what you can't buy. That's not morality. That's ego protecting itself from the pain of growth. Growth hurts. Stagnation rots. You don't need inspiration. You need disgust. Disgust at the idea that your potential could be reduced to a budget spreadsheet. Disgust at the thought that your entire existence could be summarized by rent, groceries, and streaming services. You are not a line item. Reality is waiting. It doesn't care how you feel. It responds to force, clarity, and relentless execution. And the moment you truly understand that the $1,200 lifestyle isn't safety, it's sedation, you stop asking how to survive it and start plotting how to obliterate it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every choice you make either reinforces the trap or weakens it. And the trap is subtle. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It tells you to be reasonable, to be realistic, to not get ahead of yourself. Those words sound mature, they're poison. Reasonable people don't change the world. They fit inside it. The $1,200 lifestyle thrives on emotional efficiency. It drains just enough discomfort to keep you functional while leaving you too drained to rebel. You're not exhausted because you work too hard. You're exhausted because everything you do produces negligible momentum. Low return on effort is soul-crushing. It convinces intelligent people that effort itself is pointless. That's how sharp minds get dull. Look at the psychology. When your income barely covers your existence, your brain prioritizes immediate relief. Cheap dopamine, cheap wins, fast food for the mind, scrolling, binge watching, laughing at memes about being broke. Humor becomes anesthesia. You laugh so you don't have to confront the insult of your situation. But insignificance always collects interest. Month after month, you tell yourself you'll figure it out later. Becomes years. Years become a personality. Suddenly you're the guy who knows everything about why things are unfair, but nothing about how to dominate them. Awareness without power is torture. Here's a brutal metric. If missing one paycheck would cause panic, you are not free. You are leased. Freedom isn't about having nothing to lose. That's desperation. Freedom is having enough surplus that you can choose aggression. The $1,200 lifestyle gives you zero surplus, no margin, no buffer, no ammunition. You're fighting reality with an empty magazine. And reality doesn't miss. This is where most people make a fatal miscalculation. They assume the jump from $1,200 to dominance is linear. It isn't. It's exponential. The first phase feels impossible because you're breaking inertia. You're rewiring identity. You're asking a mind trained for survival to think in conquest terms. Survival thinking asks, what if this fails? Conquest thinking asks, what happens when this works? Different questions, different outcomes. The marketplace doesn't reward the careful. It rewards the precise. Precision requires focus. Focus requires sacrifice. Sacrifice requires discomfort. The $1,200 lifestyle trains you to avoid discomfort at all costs because discomfort threatens stability. And stability is the idol. Smash the idol. Stability at a low billable is more dangerous than instability at a high trajectory. One keeps you small forever. The other forges capability. Chaos isn't your enemy. Uncontrolled chaos is. Controlled chaos pressure you choose is how men are built. Think of high-stakes poker. The amateur clings to chips, terrified of losing. The professional understands that chips are tools. Ammunition. They're meant to be risked in calculated moves that shift the odds. Hoarding chips never wins the table. Strategic aggression does. Your time, your energy, your money, they are chips. The $1,200 lifestyle teaches you to hoard them in tiny stacks, playing scared, folding constantly. Elite players push when the math is right. They understand variance. They understand that temporary loss is the entry fee for long-term control, and control is the real currency. This isn't about luxury. It's about sovereignty. When your income is capped, your opinions are soft. You can't afford to be honest. You can't afford to offend. You can't afford to offend. You can't afford to walk away. Financial pressure turns principles into suggestions. That's why broke people talk about values more than they live them. Once you grasp this, your priorities mutate. You stop optimizing for comfort and start optimizing for capability, skills that scale, networks that compound, knowledge that multiplies leverage. You stop asking what pays quickly and start asking what pays repeatedly. Repetition is power. The $1,200 lifestyle is single-use thinking. 1 hour, one payout, one task, one reward. No echo, no residual impact. High-level operators build systems that keep paying after the initial effort is done. That's how you escape time dependency. Time dependency is slavery with better branding. Your internal command must become ruthless. Anything that keeps me capped is a threat. That includes habits, relationships, even identities you've grown attached to. The version of you that learned how to survive on little will fight to stay alive. It will call growth reckless. It will label ambition stressful. Kill that voice. Not emotionally, strategically. Replace it with data, with metrics, with clear targets. Emotion is a terrible leader. Discipline is indifferent to fear. It executes regardless. You don't rise by feeling ready. You rise by acting before readiness arrives. Readiness is a luxury sold to cowards. The battlefield doesn't wait for confidence. It rewards decisiveness. And here's the quiet advantage no one mentions. Once you break past that low ceiling, your perception of reality changes permanently. Prices stop intimidating you. Decisions stop feeling heavy. You think in investments, not expenses. The world becomes a series of levers instead of walls. Walls are for people who push straight ahead. Levers are for people who think. The $1,200 lifestyle keeps you pushing walls. Hard work, long hours, endless effort against fixed structures. Leverage lets you move the same mass with a fraction of force. That's intelligence applied to ambition. At some point, you must accept this truth without flinching. Nobody is coming to save you because there is nothing to save. You are not broken. You are underutilized. And underutilization is an insult to potential. The discomfort you feel reading this is not fear. It's recognition. Something inside you knows that living small is a choice that compounds downward. That choice feels safe today and catastrophic tomorrow. Tomorrow always charges interest. So you issue the command again, deeper this time. This level ends, not as a wish, as a directive. Directives reshape behavior. Behavior reshapes outcomes. Outcomes reshape identity. Identity is not discovered. It is constructed under pressure. And pressure is exactly what the $1,200 lifestyle helps you avoid, just enough to keep you alive, never enough to force evolution. That's why breaking out feels violent. You are tearing away a cocoon that was never meant to be permanent. The world beyond it is harsher, faster, unforgiving, but it's honest. Effort connects to outcome. Skill translates to power. Decisions matter. Reality finally responds. And once you taste that, once you experience what it feels like when your actions actually move the needle, you develop an intolerance for smallness. You stop negotiating with mediocrity. You stop romanticizing struggle. You stop pretending that comfort is a virtue, because you understand at a cellular level that the $1,200 lifestyle was never about money. It was about keeping you tame. If this hit you in the chest, that wasn't motivation. That was truth colliding with denial. And denial hates exposure. Which means this message only works if it spreads. So do something instead of nodding like everyone else. If you're done being insignificant, like this. If you know someone trapped in that quiet, padded cage, share this. If you're serious about upgrading your mind, your money, your position in reality, subscribe. And if you felt resistance while listening, good. Comment what part made you uncomfortable. That's where the work starts. Because the algorithm doesn't matter. But momentum does.